was one of the greatest caliphs to exist after the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, whose years of service and dedication actually brought to fruition a lot of what Islam had in it. It had planned to see society progress as a society that was progressive, that was productive, that was prosperous. He talks about how he too used to take time off from all this. And the question that I posed was, do you feel that someone who is doing the work of God has to actually take time off from the work of God? If that is such a rewarding thing, why would someone do that? Well, because it's required. Uh, our spiritual our spiritual growth aside, we always have to maintain our physical and mental well-being at uh, simultaneously. So that being said, I did take some time off, and I'm sure Brother Carl did also. It was a semi journey and vacation plus a staycation at a friend's house. We did drive 3,000 miles in total to Arizona and back, stopping at Albuquerque, Phoenix, doing tours from Phoenix up to Flagstaff and Sedona and the Grand Canyon, where we were fortunate enough to stand in the bitter cold for up to 45 minutes and watch this impressive view of the Grand Canyon with white snow on top. It was like chocolate cupcakes with ice frosting. It was just beautiful, and we spent a portion of the late evening and early night gazing at the stars, coming back from there, driving to Tucson, and then from there back up to our hometown, Dallas. So that was a bit about my vacation. I don't want to bore you with my story. I love to hear from our listeners how they spent their winter break, even if it was sitting at home, binging a series, sipping on hot chocolate, or just taking extra naps. It's all important to rest your body, but the one thing I will say before I ask Carl how his winter holidays were with the children is that nature is such a beautiful source of replenishing one's mind and soul. When you when you touch nature and when you are in the presence of God's art and God's creation, it truly revives and rejuvenates your soul. It replenishes your mind and your heart, and it gives you this whole new life. And I never realized how important it was until this vacation. We did have the opportunity by uh, alhamdulillah, to go to the Smoky Mountains, Niagara Falls, and parts in Canada. But this was a purpose tour of nature from the get go, getting out of Texas into New Mexico, and then from there, Route 66 and the mountains and everything else. It was just, again, what God has created for us. And then in the end of that, as you take it all in and you breathe that air and you allow your eyes to uh, be mesmerized by the colors and the sights, you come to realize the importance of keeping these things and ensuring that we don't lose them. And that brings into the discussion global warming, that if we don't acknowledge that our world climate is changing. I was in New York this weekend when it was snowing in Dallas, and it was 68 degrees in January in New York City. You have to tell me something is wrong here in the equation, where it's like in the lower 30s or low upper 20s here in Dallas, while it's 68 degrees in New York City in the middle of January. You have to be crazy to not acknowledge that something is wrong. So it created a new drive within me that we need to amplify the discussion about global warming and ensure that we do our part to take care of this beautiful earth before what's already in ruins beneath the oceans is then translated to what becomes ruins on this beautiful land which we call our earth. So that's a summary of what I took in and what I did. Carl, tell us and tell our listeners about that amazing mansaf and makluba and mandi and I don't know baklawa that you were making in the kitchen. Tell us what you did. And Carl's like, what is that stuff? And Carl, tell us what
No,
you
I no. It's this is actually the weirdest thing, and let me flip the camera here. So, not that it will matter at this point, but uh, so apparently the YouTube feed is lost, and I'm not really sure why, because it seems to be good everywhere else except on broadcast. Like I can see the preview's running fine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you're running fine. The recording is fine. Periscope is fine, but for whatever reason, YouTube is having a glitch, and I'm not really sure why. That's very odd.
Maybe it's because of the Democratic debate.
Yeah, that's exactly it. But with that being said, what I do want to say, and hopefully somebody at some point will hear this and see this, but I do want to say that YouTube updated, and they took away the classic studio. And so I am very clumsily fumbling through trying to figure out how to use this new studio, which is why the actual broadcast was late. It was a couple minutes behind, and now I've got this buffering thing that's going on, and I don't know why, which I'll get back to. But with all of that being said, that's my apologies to those of you on YouTube that are watching this now or will watch it in the future. But just running down the comments here, not that they're watching because it's buffering, which is really super weird. Sunshine says, hello. Sister Layla says, wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. She says, yes, we can see the video and the audio. Sunshine said she could see the audio of the video. Sunshine said she spent the vacation at home, sitting at home, eating her feelings. Sister Layla said that she likes the new logo and the new color, and then they said the feed cut out. So yay! There's all of that. For myself, what I ended up doing was we traveled to the Great White North, and we saw family. We spent a lot of the time off with my mom, and we saw her and we hung out with her and we talked to her, and really that was pretty much it. I mean, we drove around. We went to the King Arthur flower factory. We went to the Vermont Country Store. We went to Concord. We went to Tilton. Those are cities with malls in them. We went to the malls. That was pretty much it. It wasn't any real rest. The life is slower in New England, so you get to slow down a little bit. It's not as go high paced heavy as it is here. But I mean, that was pretty much how I spent most of my vacation. I mean, that was about it. But as somebody who was sitting in 40-degree or 70-degree weather watching the snow in Texas this weekend, I was really freaked out, and I'm kind of at a point where I'm like, we're at a point where we're just gonna die. We're just all gonna die, because that's not right. It shouldn't be like that, and I don't know why it's like that. But there it is. I'm going to turn it back over to you and see if I can't figure out what's wrong with YouTube.
Well, thank you so much for that. And so there was two topics that most of our listeners gravitated towards. One of them was Kiwi on Pizza, and I just don't know where that topic came from. It's been bothering me for quite a portion of the day once I saw Carl launch that. I don't know the story behind Kiwi on Pizza, and I hope he was referring to something in Australia, not New Zealand.
No. I will tell you exactly where it came from, because it was disturbing when I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it was posted on Twitter yesterday, and they compared it to pineapple on pizza. And they said, y'all like pineapple on pizza, but you haven't tried anything until you've tried kiwi on pizza. And there was a photo, and I can find it, and they literally had kiwi cooked onto the pizza. And it is just...
I used to love kiwi. Now when you're saying that, I'm losing it as you're saying it. Like, I used to sit there and, patiently remove the delicate skin the furry skin of a kiwi, and I would just chop it into slices. I just understand that. Why would someone put that on a pizza? You're ruining life. You're ruining world as we know it to be. Please stop, anyone. No,
I
please, sorry.
I
Tell
know
us.
you're fine. No, no. I don't know why I don't know why it's like that. I really don't. Oh, okay. The feed's back. I don't know what happened, but we're good. Excellent connection. Okay. We're streaming all over the place again. So continue.
Thank you. No, but that's yeah, that was it. So kiwi on pizza. But you know what? That takes us from Kiwiland, New Zealand, to another beautiful vacation spot where I know a few people went during winter break was Australia. And the images that emerge from places like Australia, where I personally have not been, it was horrific to see the blood red sky and to see how the fires itself created its own weather system, and how then the rain that was created by those fires ultimately put out those fires amidst those fire tornadoes, and the deaths of thousands and tens of thousands of animals and thousands of humans. I believe about 2,000 houses were destroyed or something, and I don't know how many people. I'm sorry, just the numbers were baffling itself. It was just staggering to see those fires. But the earth is burning. It's like when you touch the pot, or you know, you open the dishwasher and the steam gets on your arm or something. It may not be a first, second, third degree burn, but it's a burn, and it hurts. Imagine for a moment that the earth is your skin. How well do you take care of your skin? You wash it, you lather it, you rinse it, you put cream on it, you apply clothing on your body to ensure that your body stays warm and protected. What are we doing to take care of our earth? What are we doing to wash it, to soap it down, to rinse it, to put cream on it, to clothe it when it needs it? These are things that start coming to mind because realistically, the beauty out there is phenomenal. Even in our trip, our 1 week trip in the drive, so much beauty of God. For those who believe, and for those who don't believe, there is an architect who has designed those mountains, who designed the white sand desert in the middle of nowhere. It's just amazing. And for us to not show any sense of gratification towards it, and not feel concerned in the slightest bit that it's burning or that it can be destroyed tomorrow is truly heartbreaking. So the fires of Australia, I want to loop around from there to what the ultimate thing happens when fires break out in countries. Fires could be man made, natural, war, or whatever else. Because we were close to a war in the beginning of this new year in Iran, in addition to a looming and continually growing refugee crisis in our world. Our beautiful state of Texas, the governor just declared that we will no longer be taking any refugees in this state, which to me is a shameful thing because driving through Texas from the east and the west side to the best of my ability, Texas is mostly dead. It's just land. I don't understand why we have this narrow mindedness that we will not take refugees, nor will we harbor those who have been caught and their lives have been caught in the fires and storms that have been either naturally made or man made or human made. Nevertheless, may we not experience such times in our own existence where everything we have is lost, and that in return we become uh, dependent to the needs, we become dependent to the mercy and the generosity of others who may decide to shun us because they don't trust us. That is in a loop all of our world, from vacationing to nature, the fires in Australia, the imminent war in Iran, the refugee crisis, and what we have to plan for the next 11 months and 17 days. Our New Year's resolution, what is it? I'm hoping that the time that we took off in whichever capacity we did allowed us to reflect and to make resolutions for our world. We can no longer be selfish because, hey, guess what? All the selfish resolutions we ever made, 99% of them never happen. We're gonna lose weight, we're gonna work out, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. Most of them don't work out anyway. So like, why not make a collective, global community resolution? And so for me, I'm hoping we make a resolution of returning our Earth back to how it's supposed to be, returning humanity back to how they're supposed to be, returning our societies as they used to function with goodness, respect, not just tolerance but acceptance of all. That's really what we're trying to do, and that's what we're here for at Raw Islam, to have these discussions. We're not here to lecture to you. We love to hear you. We love to see you guys engage with us, answer those questions on the polls. Give your thoughts and ideas as Carl is navigating this computer system of the Boeing 737 Max in front of him as he looks at the screen and the cell phone and the Twitter feed and YouTube. It's all about you, and it's all about making a community work. So if there's 5 of us tonight or 10 of us, or when it's uploaded onto Google Play or iTunes, and there's a couple of hundred of us, know that we are the ones that can initiate change in our world. And if you recall, or if you haven't caught on yet, you should know by now. I always try to loop it back to the collective message of us. And why not be reminded about that once a week? Why not be reminded that there's still hope in humanity? Why not be reminded that you're not alone, but we're all together? And why not use that leverage to make it happen? So, Carl, before I give it back to you, our world is our world. We're not citizens of one nation. We are citizens of this earth. Yes, by law and by constitutions and by border lines, we are citizens of so called countries, but realistically, we all are one body and one humanity. So, Carl, tell us, have our listeners asked us anything? If not, what would you like to say tonight on this first show back in 2020?
So I think we lost some viewers when the feed messed up, but I was able to refresh the page on my phone, and I know it's running again. So I think the feed is functioning. So if anybody is listening somewhere, just refresh the video on YouTube, and you'll be right back in. I had that fixed fairly quickly. So what I did do, and I was trying to figure out how to get this to you, but it didn't work the way I wanted it to. But for those of you that are wondering, and I guess I can send this to you. I can text it to you in just a minute. Hey, Sunshine's back. Hi, Sunshine. Yeah, I was just saying if you refresh the feed, it'll come back. But for those of you that are listening to this and hopefully watching it on YouTube in perpetuity, just to illustrate my point of what we were talking about earlier, here is a photo of said Kiwi Pizza. And I'm sorry, but I was just absolutely traumatized by this. And
I didn't even want to see it.
I don't know who did this, and this is actually posted by the New York Times or the New York Post. Sorry. So yeah, it's a new trend. I don't know why it's a trend. I don't know why it's a thing. I don't know who thought about it. Sunshine said it's a no vote from her, but yes. So we are back from our vacation, and we are here to deliver more edutainment about society and about Islam and how the two fit together like a hand in the glove. And, and everything you touched on was really important and was really kind of, there was so much that happened globally while we were off, from fires in Australia to tensions in the Middle East. And I saw today the British Prime Minister, which honestly I thought was kind of a gutsy move on his part, and I was impressed. But Sunshine said she doesn't like kiwi in general, and Happy New Year to you and us. Happy New Year to you too. But I saw today Justin Trudeau was like, he's like, yeah, we would still have our 12 citizens had there not been these tensions in the Middle East. So it's there's a lot going on, and things seem to be getting worse. But I mean, isn't that how it works? Things have to get worse before they get better because they reach a breaking point and then it self corrects. Isn't that the way it works?
Well, you
And
know what, Carl, I'm
go.
sorry. Like,
No,
it's gonna
do
get
not
worse. No,
apologize.
it. I want to have this conversation with you. Like, it's gonna get worse. Everyone tells us, and I heard someone say that yesterday. Well, it's gonna get worse before it gets better, and Allah promised after difficulty is ease. But what is the definition of difficulty, and what is the definition of worse? Like, how worse? Like, neglect doesn't entail worse, because worse, something getting bad, it should be a wake up call to fix it, and that's where God's gonna get in and make it better. But if we don't acknowledge it to be bad, if we acknowledge the status quo to be the new norm, then it's not really worse, right? It's just accepting and embracing it and adjusting yourself to the bad. And then in doing so, you'll never accept and acknowledge what the good is. So, yes, it's supposed to get a bit worse before it gets better, but I don't even think that humanity as a whole has realized that this is actually getting worse. But sorry, continue. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
No, well, Sunshine said worse for who, and I mean, I think you kind of answered that question. That it's just worse for humanity in general, and I think for me, and it goes on what you're saying is that level of acceptance, and I think we're just, for me personally, I'm just waiting for that breaking point where everybody just kind of wakes up and goes, "What the hell is going on?" and it self corrects. A really good example of this is I think it was over the weekend, Sunday or Monday, Sunday night or Monday night, Sunday night. The White House posted a photo of snow, going, "Oh, first snow of the season," and I mean, Twitter, rightfully so, jumped all over them, and they were like, "Bro, it was 70 degrees. It was not snowing at the White House last night. What's wrong with you?" But that was it. It wasn't covered on the news. Nobody shared it. It was just this bold-faced lie that everybody outside of Twitter just seemed to go, "Oh, okay," and move on in life. And it's this isn't normal. None of this is normal. And I mean, personally, I don't accept it, but we as a society can't accept this. We have to say this is not normal. And when we have those friends and we have those relatives who say, "Oh no, this is totally normal," you have to say to them, "This isn't normal. Don't accept this." And Sunshine had another comment here. I don't think it has to get worse, but it likely will. We're too used to the lies and misinformation. And and I think that's my point exactly, is that we're so used to these lies and misinformation that when you lie about the weather, it's okay just to go, "Okay," and just move on, as opposed to saying, "No, this is not right. You can't do this. It's no good." So I mean, that's kind of, I mean, that's me. That's where I am. And there was so much to digest while we were off that I really don't even know where to start. And I mean, luckily we have an entire year of episodes for us to catch up and to start with. But at the same time, it was just, there's so much.
And I think, just to be fair, Carl, is that every time we will try to chip away on what's needed, there's always going to be more adding on. Unfortunate reality is we have to embrace that to be a great possibility. I'd like to wrap up tonight with our listeners because they've gone through, the trial and error of this new technology as we're getting back into the swing of things. We thank them for their patience. Is that a lot of people who are using the mediums of information that are actually spreading misinformation don't even realize the correct usage of those mediums. So tonight at our PISD board advisory meeting, I took on one of the four tasks that we were allocated to work on, and that was a school Twitter account that would send out diversity training uh, nibbles to people. And I know one of the persons that was with me, claimed to understand Twitter and may have been using it as a platform. but didn't really realize. I'm not going to go into details, but they never understood really what Twitter was all about. So in technology, if it's a one-way conversation, it's actually indoctrination. If you really don't know what you're seeing on Twitter, like Carl alluded towards, I know we're going off topic tonight because we did talk about vacation. We're going towards if someone's showing that there's a picture of snow happening in Washington, and as Carl said, it was close to 70 degrees and there was no snow, then that's a very troublesome reality. And when I saw a Disney film titled Wall-E, many people may not even remember it, but Wall-E really opened our eyes on alternative realities where people were obese on these beach chairs, living a life while the world around them was actually destroying itself. Or, for example, Lorax living in an artificial world when the real world was actually destroyed. Let us not live in an artificial social bubble or a social media bubble where we think the world is actually what it is, when in reality, outside of our real window and door, it's not what it's claimed to be. So be woke, stay woke, as they would say in slang, and woke doesn't mean what it means in that context. But really, be real. Stick to the reality of what's happening. Don't let conversations be one way. We say things here on this show. If you don't agree with our things that we say, our statements, or our claims, do ask us, do challenge us, do present to us, because this is a conversation. We're not going to make this a one-way discussion. We're not sitting here to indoctrinate you or to put something down, or put a religion down, or to put ourselves up. We're here to have candid, real conversations because I believe our world, especially in 2020, needs a platform for real conversation. And if we're not having real conversation, then what are we having? Is the thought I'll leave you with tonight as my final thought of the night. And with that, I'll hand it back to our dear brother and our great host, Brother Carl.
Okay. Sunshine has been busily tapping away over here, so bear with me. Let's see. She thinks all of the lying is strategic, which I actually agree with. Keep all the little bits of misinformation and lies coming out and getting us to jump on them and complain. One of a couple of things will happen. We'll either stop paying attention, or people will stop paying attention to us as if we're just complaining all the time. Or we'll have so much to decipher, we don't know what's true and what's not. Meanwhile, they'll be implementing policy that destroys us. Sunshine, do not apologize. You have nothing to say sorry for. I agree with every point you made. I really do think that the lies are strategic. I remember when they posted, or they said last year, they were like, don't believe what you see and don't believe what you read, because don't believe your eyes and your ears because it's not real. And everybody just went, okay. I mean, bro, you have to believe your eyes and you have to believe your ears because it's what you're seeing. And if you can't believe that, then what do you believe? So that's that. Imam Mazhar gave his final thought. I want to thank Sunshine and Sister Layla for joining us this evening. I do want to apologize for the Sunshine said, thank you for realizing I meant implementing. It's no big deal. I got you, man. I want to say thank you to Sister Layla. I want to say thank you to Sunshine for joining us this evening. A couple of show notes that I want to personally put out there and just apologize for. I'm sorry for the feed tonight. Like I said, YouTube updated the interface. They took away the classic broadcaster. I think I got it all figured out now, so we should be good. But also, if you have been to the website, vennetwork.org, you will see that we are behind on posting episodes, and that is completely my fault because I have been slow on getting the writings done because I'm having a couple of life challenges that I'm working through. But I'm pretty much up to date. I have all the videos edited. I have all the audio edited. I uploaded everything. I just got to get some of the graphics and text done, and we'll get that out to you guys so that if you missed anything, you can go back and re-listen or re-watch. Again, totally my fault. My apologies. I'm working on it. We'll get it out to you guys as soon as possible. Sunshine said that she missed us. We missed you guys too. We really did. So until then, you can go to vennetwork.org. You can check out the swag. You can check out the other shows that are posted. And until next week, we will say, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.